I can't watch a movie on my computer or on television, not even on the iPhone. It's ridiculous. I don't get any pleasure out of it.
So, Matthias Brunner, thank you for being here with us, and we are very happy to be here in Vevey, in this beautiful environment. And you know, the festival is called Images Vevey. So my first question would be, what is your relationship to images? How were you introduced to images when you were a child, maybe? Or what was, you know, the way you discovered this world of images?
It started actually very early, because I lived in a quite a dysfunctional, very typical 50s family. So escape from the family situation into the worlds of images, either in museums, where my grandmother brought me. I loved the museum in Chur, where I got, when I was very young, already in touch with Segantini, with Giacometti, with all the big Swiss artists. And I must be honest, already then, I had a pre-experience to what I saw much later in the film by Jean-Luc Godard, Bonaparte, when Anna Karina with Claude Brassard ran with chaussures qui faisaient beaucoup de bruit à travers le Louvre. Alors, I did it as a child as well. My grandmother always said, regarde là, Hodler, vous savez pas, Segantini or Giacometti. And
so
they really formed me.
So it was really through this experience visiting museum. What about books? Was it also a world where you would escape? Fictional books, or, you know, in pictures books, or it was more this experimenting art in museums, in a space?
It's so interesting that you asked me these two questions in a row, because my grandfather was a professor in literature. And so I was brought very young towards good books, and I loved to read. It was my other escape, because movies I discovered only later, really. And it was too expensive as well. I didn't have too much pocket money. But books, there he had a huge library from Zola to Jodelos de Laclos, Les Liaisons Dangereuses, everything was there. And my grandmother even traded the Mickey Mouse and Tarzan comic strips, which I had piles and piles, towards the great classics. So that was my close encounters to books and writers. And then again in Chur, because I spent 1 year, which was which formed me a lot in Chur, was that they had a cinema where they showed great double bills. And in one of these double bills, I discovered within the same 4 hours, A Place in the Sun by George Stevens with Elizabeth Taylor, Montgomery Clift, Shelley Winters, after a wonderful novel of Theodore Dreiser, The American Tragedy. Theodore Dreiser was regarded like the Émile Zola of the States, together with François Truffaut's Les 400 coups. And that was really heaven to me. From that moment on, I was completely lost and lost my heart to the movies.
So movies were always very important for you. Also for me, what is interesting with movies, when we go into a theater, there's a kind of condition. We are in this big room, we are watching this large screen, we sit, there's a kind of ritual also, being, you know, sitting there, not being, you know, absorbed by everything else. Today we look at films on small screens, so it's very different atmosphere. And thinking about the work you show here in Vevey, with this very large projection, panoramic screenings, the sound is very loud also, so it really is a way to bring you into these images. So for you, this it's a physical experience also.
Absolutely.
Is it very important for you?
It is sine qua non. I can't watch a movie on my computer or on television, not even on television, neither on the iPhone. It's ridiculous. I don't get any pleasure out of it. I always say it's like if I had to see Guernica by Picasso on a postcard. It's ridiculous. You have to see it in on a big screen, and that's with an audience and with the reaction of the audience.
For you, it's important also to share this moment with other people. It's not just something where you are alone.
I mean, I can see it as well alone, but if you have a nice audience, it's even better. If the audience is awful, then I'd rather escape and come back to the screening another time. I can't stand when they eat popcorn all around me or so.
For me, when I discovered your work, I was amazed how creative these filmmakers you brought. Filmmakers from the 1920s, 1930s.
From the beginning of this.
From the beginning, we can imagine that at the time they were really experimenting the medium. It's not that they knew about it. Even the work as a filmmaker wasn't really something people would know at that time. And at a time where paintings also colorful, that was really the kind of œuvre d'art. So how did you get to these very early works from the first generation of filmmakers?
I always had a love affair as well with the silent movies, and I went to all the cinematheques in order to see early silent movies, because I thought they were very, very strong. They had even stronger images than later when the word and music helped to have effect on the big screen. But one thing which I especially thought of was painting is colorful as well, especially with Impressionists. They used very special colors and painted them as well in a special way. And I thought it was wonderful how filmmakers escaped the problem of the colors at the beginning, but they found something else which they could hardly develop in such an intensity as in the cinema, which is la vitesse, speed, movements. That's why you have a lot of scenes at the beginning with breaking the waves. I mean, with waves, with clouds, and even in the clouds you see suddenly automobiles, or is it a boat, or is it a plane? One doesn't really know exactly. I thought the beginning of film history is so rich. They were so courageous in creating stuff which was really, which went much farther than what the young generation does today with cinema. Because cinema today has no value anymore, because it's all digital. It's not expensive anymore. Before it was celluloid, it was super expensive, and you need a lot of lights, and all that. Today doesn't matter anymore. You can film with your handy, and so.
And it's also about the scale again, no? It's about, because I guess today filmmakers, they know that they eventually have their work in a tiny screen, or I guess they are aware of that. You cannot avoid that idea.
Yeah. But still, I need a big screen. I think cinema should stay on a big screen. I don't believe in all that crap which you can see on television, even if some series are better than others. But I'm not a big fan of television films. I see a difference between a movie maker who is really a cinéaste d'auteur, writes his own stories and puts them carefully into mise en scène, which is sophisticated and nicely done.
I have a last question for you. Of course, your work pay homages to these creators, to these amazing filmmakers. So we are here in a nice hotel. They have a restaurant, and tonight you could invite someone for dinner, for tête-à-tête dinner. Who would that be?
Jean-Luc Godard.
Jean-Luc Godard. Okay, we can
just
call
love
him.
I know he lives next door.
Yeah.
I love him dearly, and I played all his movies in my cinemas over the years. If it wouldn't be Jean-Luc Godard, if he could be someone who is not among us anymore, it would be Douglas Sirk, who was like my father. In my life, he was a very, very close friend of mine, and I adored his films. And Godard is a very huge film of him, so it would be all family.
So we can invite both of them.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very
Matthias.
much.
Thank you.